big man from New Jersey, who was on talk radio last night out there, just to give credit where credit is due, New Jersey 101.5 with Eric Scott. And Chris Christie, the governor, said, look, about those lane closures, I learned about them about the same time you did.
The first time this really came into my consciousness as an issue was when Pat Foy, the executive director of the Port Authority's email about this incident was leaked to the media and reported on. And that was the first time that I got a sense that there might be some issue here.
That was the first time I thought that there might actually be a political issue. Ed Morrissey is covering this drip by drip, cut by cut. He's the senior editor for hotair.com, and we welcome him back for analysis of this Chris Christie scandal, so-called scandal. He's on our Turnkey.pro answer line. Good morning, Ed. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on today.
Yeah, so Chris Christie, he goes on the attack against Wildstein and just, again, doubles down on this issue. Is this the way to approach this?
Well, I think in part it would be, but I think going back to high school is a little strange. I mean, you know, I'm sure that I probably wasn't the most well-rounded, mature individual at 16 either. And just it's kind of an overkill moment where it's very, very personal, and I was a little surprised by that, and I think it's strange.
You're talking about the email that Chris Christie sent while he's attacking David Wildstein, saying that he did, partake in deceptive behavior by probably cheating on a high school social studies test.
You know, there have been occasions, and I know you're going to find this difficult to believe, Amy, but there were a couple of occasions where I wasn't completely honest with my parents where I was or what time I came home at night when I was 16 years old. I mean, I don't know a teenager who hasn't practiced at least a little deception at 16. That sort of comes with the territory. You grow out of those things, and so you don't usually. I mean, we were complaining about this during the presidential election when the left dug up some salacious stories about Mitt Romney in high school and how he was part of a hazing crew with people, and that it was somehow somehow homophobic or something like that. And all of us were saying, it's high school. I mean, you grow up, you learn not to do things like that. You learn some empathy. Nobody expects us to elect the 17-year-old version of anybody. And so I just find it odd that he would go to that extent and to go that personally. I don't think I think it's just Chris Christie's personality is that basically it's total war.
Yeah, it's what it is. It's mutually assured destruction. And he's got to destroy Wildstein. He also has to take care of Bridget Ann Kelly. They've both not turned necessarily, but both have invoked the Fifth. She's not going to turn over any of the documents. That's the new information this morning. And he's hanging on right here. He's got to stem the bleeding. And at this point, you've got to totally destroy their credibility no matter what it takes to hang on.
Right, and that's exactly what he's doing. He's trying to destroy Wildstein and trying to destroy his credibility. And maybe there's plenty there to do that with as a public official and a semi-public person. You can certainly go after his track record as a member of the office there and whatever deceptions that he was doing there. But I mean, if he was that bad of a guy, why'd they hire him in the first place?
All people want to know is if Chris Christie gave the order to cause the traffic jam. If he can skate by that, the fact that there's a sharp elbow sort of way of doing business and a certain element of bullying in office or what have you, let's just call it the New Jersey way of doing business, I think most of America and most Republicans can get by that. We're not looking for Santa Claus. We're looking for somebody a lot tougher.
No, but I don't want the New Jersey way of business to meander its way to the White House. I mean, he is a bully. He's trying not to be a bully, John, but he sends out this email where he looks like a complete bully.
I don't see that email as being anything more than him fighting back. You've got to fight back because John Mnuchin and the Democrats will wait on, and offer anything to Bridget Ann Kelly and the other gentleman. Come on, what's his name? I forgot.
Wildstein?
Yeah, Wildstein. They'll offer him any deal just to turn on Christie, even if it's for cosmetic reasons with no real evidence. Just enough to taint him, to ding him, and to get him out of the race.
Yeah, but John, I mean, fighting back is one thing, and I agree. You've got to fight back, but taking it to that personal level, I think, is a mistake. First off, because it's not going to convince anybody. Nobody's going to read that and say, "Oh, he was a deceptive teenager." Well, obviously we can't trust him because most people remember what they were like as teenagers. Mm-hmm. And it's sort of out of bounds. I mean, it's one thing to go after people for what they did in politics or maybe even in business, but to go after them, to go that far back it's just going to seem excessive and nasty. And I think it's a mistake on his part. Maybe it'll play better in New Jersey, but it's not going to play very well anyplace else.
It's not going to play in Iowa.
Doesn't matter.
For sure.
Iowa doesn't matter. He has to survive.
Iowa matters.
No, not now. It doesn't. New Jersey matters now. I heard somebody say yesterday, and it was Shrum. Bob Shrum said yesterday he doesn't have to worry so much about the White House. He has to worry about the big house. Now, obviously, he's a complete partisan. Bob Shrum is, but no, you have to survive in New Jersey before you think about Iowa or New Hampshire or anything else.
This was supposed to be his week. The Super Bowl weekend was supposed to be the time that he kicked off his presidential campaign. He was booed at an event at Times Square, and they didn't show him once during the Super Bowl. Do you find that to be odd, Ed?
I'm not surprised that he was trying to keep a somewhat lower profile just because of what was going on. I mean, there was a news story going around that he had required any of his media appearances. He had required people to promise that they wouldn't ask him about Bridgegate. Which
really?
Is also not it's also not a surprise. I mean, he was making the rounds on radio shows and that sort of thing. And and I know that sometimes when you're talking to politicians, they'll say, "Well, come on, but you can't ask about this." And it's up to you whether or not you want to go forward with the program. Usually, entertainment programs, more so than news and politics programs like you guys are, would go along with that just for the entertainment value of having the governor on the air with them. But sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But they'll ask, and say, "Well, no, we're going to." We're going to keep it. We're going to keep all the topics on the table, and then it's up to them whether or not they want to appear. So that's probably part of the reason why he seemed to have a lower profile, is because they were trying to scale it back.
Hey, Ed, do you get the sense that his office, his people, maybe himself, they've decided now, as Amy said, to double down and go on the attack, even if it seems childish and trite, as opposed to stonewalling? And there's two ways to go. You can either stonewall and decide to destroy the enemies, or you can go ahead and vet those documents and release them all, take the hit, and see what comes next. Do you think that they've made the decision to try to destroy their enemies and stonewall this?
Well, I think they've made the decision to go on offense, and you could see that right from the beginning. He did the 2-hour press conference. He took all the questions from the media. They never backed down, and his story has remained consistent. So I think they've decided that the best defense is a good offense, and that's fine. But again, I think that whoever wrote that memo for Christie really should be replaced with somebody who's got a better sense of perspective on how to conduct it.
We'll leave it there for this morning, Ed. It's always great reading you at hotair.com. We'll have you back soon.
Thank you very much. Great to be on with you guys.
Ed Morrissey on our turnkey.pro answer line.